What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over what I think is the best loadout in Fortnite's K-Pop Demon Hunters update, because I've been getting asked about this a lot. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, comment down below what your favorite setup is, and if you would like to use my code in the item shop when getting anything. It is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So for me personally, this update didn't really change what I prefer to use too much. But I know this season has had a lot of people kind of coming and going, and there also has been many changes to the items this season, so people are kind of confused for what to use. I think the two easy choices to start with, regardless of what route you want to go, is going to be the Hollow Twister and the Wrecker Revolver as your two main weapons. Ever since the Hollow Twister has come into the game, and ever since it was added back, it's been the best choice for kind of like mid-range, long-range fights. Pretty much the only time I was using something over it was if I got the Mythic OXR off spawn, and then that with the Agile Aiming boon was actually quite good. But currently you can't even get the Mythic OXR because it's broken. When you get it out of the bunkers, it gives you the Wrecker Revolver instead. But even if I could get it out of the bunkers, the main time I was using it was like, okay, I got this Mythic off spawn, and I have either that or a green hollow, I'm going to go with the Mythic. But if I have to wait until second zone to get it anyways, by that point, I've probably found a decent hollow anyways. So the hollow is just the clear best choice in my opinion. I believe the MK7 actually has like slightly higher DPS, and a lot of people kind of look at DPS as the end-all be-all stat. But that is a bit overrated because most fights aren't just an opponent standing there letting you shoot them. In longer range fights especially, the hollow is going to be much better because the MK loses range. And when you're playing cover and an enemy is playing cover and you might be looking for like a few shots to get damage and then push, the hollow is going to give you the most amount of damage in that limited time because of its higher damage and especially because of its higher headshot multiplier. So I think with how fights actually play out, the hollow is better than the MK. And then the revolver is also just still incredibly busted despite several nerfs throughout the course of the season. The damage, the range, and the consistency that the shotgun pistol has is just incredible, and it's pretty much the best choice as far as shotguns go this season. The way you can play off cover with it, the way you can play chasing with it, if you're like shockwaving onto somebody and just shooting them from the sky. If you've played it all this season, I'm sure you're aware the revolver is good, and even though Fortnite has nerfed it in several ways, it's still super busted. So those are the two main weapons I would recommend using this season. And then now this is where things kind of get interesting, because the current season I feel like has two kind of main setups that you could go. If you want to use a shotgun to double pump with, that is another choice because the Wrecker Revolver doesn't have a delay if you shoot it and then swap to another shotgun. So you can alternate back and forth and deal a lot of damage very quickly. Or you can run double mobility because there are several mobility choices that are great in the season right now. And personally, I prefer to use double mobility. But those are the two main setups, either double pump or double mobility. If you do want to run an additional shotgun with the Wrecker Revolver, it's going to be either the Sentinel Pump or the Sweeper shotgun. And I think a lot of people may be surprised to hear Sweeper because it isn't a weapon that a lot of players really enjoy using. And I actually despise the Sweeper. I've not liked it at all this season. But the reason why people have kind of started running it in a double pump loadout is because its swap time is actually better than the Sentinel pumps. So alternating between Revolver and Sweeper just feels a bit more fluid. And if you're using double pump anyways, it's not like you need the most damage out of one shot. I believe it also has better range than the Sentinel pump, so it kind of fits a little bit better with the Wrecker Revolver's really good range. But for me personally, if I was going to use two shotguns, I would want to run the Wrecker Revolver and the Sentinel Pump just because, as I said, I really don't like the Sweeper. And if I'm running double pump, I kind of want to shoot Revolver, shoot Pump, and then hopefully kill them. And if that doesn't kill them, I want to swap back to the Revolver. I want to get it done quick. I don't want to be swapping back and forth like 3 or 4 or 5 times. And you may end up having to do that if you get like really bad damage out of your Sweeper. So for me personally, I would want to use the Wrecker Revolver and the Sentinel Pump. But the Sweeper is also very good in that setup because of the better range and because of the better swap time. Just kind of depends on preference and I think how you feel about the Sweeper. But both are viable choices. For mobility, I think the best choice is going to be the Shockwave Grenades, the Shockwave Hammer, and then obviously the new Teleportation Mask. For me personally, Shockwaves are my favorite. And the one that I rate the highest, if I was only going to be running one mobility, I would want it to be Shockwave Grenades. but obviously you need to get enough of them for that to be an option. If you only have like 1 or 2 shockwave grenades, then like sure, the hammer or the mask is definitely going to be better. But if I have a full stack of like 6 shockwaves, that's what I would want to run most. And with how this season plays out, lots of players are carrying either the shockwave hammer or the mask. So if you do end up running out of shockwaves, but you get a kill, you typically will get some form of mobility as a refresh off them. So even if you are running the double pump setup, the shockwave grenades, I think, can be a really good mobility choice, and also the mobility choice that works best with like pushing enemies. If you want to just like get up on somebody and get in their face, which is kind of what you want to do if you're going to be double pumping, I think shockwaves work best for that, but you do need to get enough to make it work. The OXR shops around the map all do sell shockwave grenades, so if I'm ever low and need more and there's a shop in zone, it's something I want to visit. Or off spawn, if I happen to get no mobility, I'm definitely trying to pay a visit to one of those shops. With double mobility, I would want to run either shockwave grenades, or I'd want to run shockwave grenades as one, and then either the mask or the hammer as my second choice. I think both are really good, and it just comes down to preference between them and maybe which one you get or which one you enjoy using more. Using the hammer and the mask together can be okay. It's not like it's the end of the world. But I feel like they do kind of overlap in terms of what you get out of them. Like they're both good, like mid-range movement. They're okay for pushing, but if you really need to get out of like a bad situation, shockwaves are just the best choice. You throw it and you're out of there, and the amount of movement you get is good. The fact that it breaks structures is good. Shockwaves offer you the most and the fastest mobility out of one item. And you can also combine it with the other ones. Like you can shockwave and then switch to your hammer and start using that. Or you can shockwave and then throw a mask portal and use that. Like the shockwaves, I think, are the best reactionary movement. They're best for pushing an enemy in like a pivotal situation. And they do combine better with the other movement options, I think. So like if I need to get a kill quickly or escape a terrible situation, I want to have shocks. But for like those less important moments, or maybe if I'm just traveling the map, the mask or the hammer are also just like very good. So that's why I kind of want to have one of both. The fact that the hammer and the mask, you know, get you significantly more uses out of a single inventory slot is really good. But I still want to have those shockwaves for those like pivotal, incredibly important moments. So that's why when I run double mobility, I would like to run shockwaves and then a hammer, or shockwaves and then a mask. As I already touched on though, there's times where you run out of shockwaves, and then, you know, if I run out of shocks getting an elimination and I have a hammer and then that guy's a mask, sure, I'll take the mask. Or if I haven't found shockwaves yet, that's one thing. But in my ideal situation, I have shockwaves with the mask or shockwaves with the hammer. And then for heals, it also pretty much just comes down to what you can get. I think there's lots of good healing items this season. The Flowberry Fizz, the new noodles, the legendary slurp juice that you can get out of the Rift Pod. The big pots are fine. Shieldfish are obviously very good, but more of a struggle to get and something that most people don't want to go for. And then even the new golden shield bubbles are all really good healing choices. I feel like the shield bubbles are kind of slept on as a healing choice, but it gives you 20 shield when you first throw it, and then it starts to give you 5 shield a second, which isn't the fastest healing item in the game, but it also gives you a shield bubble. And if you're, you know, looking to turn a fight, being able to play off that shield bubble makes it to where you can probably take less damage in the fight if you are decent at playing bubble fights and you're healing while you do that. So it is a worse healing item, but the fact that it also protects you does add some value. But for most games, I've just been either running the Flowberry Fizz or the noodles, just depending which one I get. The noodles heal about as fast as a big pot, but they also give you improved stamina to where your stamina will last longer, and then it also makes you move faster. And it does heal white health as well. So a lot of people do prefer the noodles to the big pots for now while they're in the game. The Flowberry Fizz is a bit slower, but obviously you get the low gravity effect, which stacks with your movement. As I said, there's a lot of good healing choices, and I think it's just mostly preference and what you can get your hands on. So for me personally, my favorite setup this update has been the Hollow Twister AR, the Wrecker Revolver, either the hammer or the mask. The healing item I end up getting, typically Flowberry Fizz or the noodles. And then my final slot is going to be Shockwave. So once again, that's Wrecker Revolver, Hollow Twister, hammer or mask, heals, and then Shockwaves. And that's been my personal favorite setup. But as I said, double pump is incredibly viable if you're someone who likes running double pump and you can get by with one movement choice, or get by without running heals. That way you can have double pump and double movement. Obviously, it's a very risky playstyle, but it definitely can work. And there's just a lot of good choices this season. But let me know what your favorite setup to run has been in the KPop Demon Hunters update. If you guys found this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.